Hi guys, welcome to the channel. I normally cover UAP news and events, but I was an F16 pilot for 18 years and a certified crash safety investigator. So I did investigation for the Air Force into accidents for 4 years and just wanted to give my initial impressions on this. My wife said she was concerned and I wanted to look into it and see, should we be concerned about this scary crash? So give my initial impressions and reaction. Thanks for being here.
Chris Lehto, welcome to LehtoFiles.
Okay, I'm sure you've seen this. This is actually the impact of the helicopter with the airliner. Yeah, recorded on video now, so everything is live. I'm sure you've seen it's all over the news. Even Donald Trump made a statement about it already, which is pretty amazing, really, if you think about it. Okay, so this was January 30th on Truth Social, 12:19 a.m. from Donald Trump. The airplane was on a perfect and routine line of approach to the airport. The helicopter was going straight at the airplane for an extended period of time. It is a clear night. The lights on the plane were blazing. Why didn't the helicopter go up or down or turn? Why didn't the control tower tell the helicopter what to do instead of asking if they saw the plane? This is a bad situation that looks like it should have been prevented. Not good. And so, yes, I agree, and there are visual illusions involved we'll go through in this video. So before getting into this, I want to say that I don't speak on behalf of any government agency or any government. I just speak for my own opinions, and this is just initial reaction based on incomplete data, okay? Then the second thing I'd like to say is you should be much scareder about getting into a car rather than an aircraft. Okay, so I just did a simple search for average daily fatalities in the US, and you can go back 20 years. The data gets even better for commercial aviation. But just in 2022, 109 people died every day in motor vehicle accidents in the US, and that's compared to zero point 0.5 deaths in aviation, and that includes both general and commercial, right? And we think general aviation is much more dangerous, but actually it's even less. And if you go back 20 years, it's even less than that. So the average is 0.11 deaths per day in aviation, and your motor vehicle accident is going to be around the same. I think it was up to 116 deaths per day. So we shouldn't be scared of getting into an airliner, is what I'm saying, from this crash, right? My wife said, "Oh, I'm kind of scared to get into an airliner now. It kind of freaks me out." And just based on the numbers, you should be much scareder about getting into a car, okay? Because that's going to be much more dangerous than getting into an airliner. They're extremely safe. I think in 2022, you had less than 1,000 deaths worldwide in aircraft, and that is amazing, right? That's less than almost a week basically of deaths just in the US, and you're talking about worldwide aircraft fatalities. So don't let this freak you out. It's because it's so rare, actually, is why they're reporting on it. And aviation, while the accidents are much rarer than motor vehicle accidents, right? They're very unforgiving. So the air environment is very unforgiving. Accidents are very rare, but if you do have an accident, yes, it's going to be a pretty terrible event, and pretty much everyone is probably going to die. That's just the nature of aviation. I guess I'm just used to that. Flying in fighters, I had that feeling every day. It was much more dangerous in a fighter, actually. And I have several friends that are no longer with us. So it is a dangerous environment. And yeah, things happen. So we'll just say that. But don't be scared. You should be much scared about getting into a car. And that's really why I think these numbers is why cars will go autonomous pretty much for sure. And I think we'll actually limit human drivers. I think it'll be very expensive to actually get your own license, probably in a decade, at least 20 years, if you can even drive as a human, just because it'll be so dangerous, because it is. Okay, so now let's get to the crash. Okay, so last night, Wednesday, January 29th, 2025, it was, yeah, a tragic collision near Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport involving an American Airlines regional jet and U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter. The incident took place around 9 p.m. as the CRJ 700 series aircraft operated by PSA Airlines for American Airlines was approaching runway 33. So it's on its final approach, pretty low there, as you can see. The flight had departed from Wichita, Kansas at approximately 5:20 p.m., carrying 60 passengers and 4 crew members. Concurrently, the Sikorsky H-60 Black Hawk helicopter was conducting a standard training flight with 3 Army soldiers on board. So the collision resulted in both aircraft crashing into the Potomac River. Emergency response teams from across the DC region, including personnel from Fairfax and Montgomery counties, were dispatched. So that's approximately 300 first responders were involved in the rescue operations. They're contending with very challenging conditions, so cold temperatures, windy weather, murky waters. Water temperature was around 35 degrees Fahrenheit, so almost 0 degrees Celsius, posing significant risk for hypothermia and cold shock. And so, yeah, that's very terrible conditions. As of now, multiple fatalities have been reported, though the exact number remains unconfirmed as search and rescue efforts continue. So the FAA and the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, have initiated investigations into the cause of the collision. So they'll investigate it. Usually we get a report back. In the military, it's within 30 days. I'm not sure in the civilian world if they can do it that quickly. It'd probably take longer. So the Reagan National Airport has been closed since the incident and is expected to remain closed until at least 11 a.m. on Thursday, January 30th. So American Airlines has provided a hotline for those seeking information about passengers who were on the flight. Local officials, including D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser and Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, have expressed their condolences and assured the public that extensive resources are being utilized to support the ongoing search and rescue operations. Okay, so here is a clip of the communications. Let's listen to this.
Georgia flight. Pathfinder Georgia. Future 17.
Press.
Georgia flight. Pathfinder Georgia. Future 17. I don't know if it's not earlier what happened, but there was a collision on the approaching 3.
So the CRJ was on final approach coming in to land. Obviously, under instrument flight rules, it's at night and they're seeing the runway, they're low to the ground. So they definitely have priority and right away. Okay, so I think the airliner has done nothing wrong in this event. Okay, they're just flying down, focusing on landing. And what you hear here is Pat 25, do you have the CRJ in sight? So they see the helicopter and they see the CRJ and they see them coming close to each other and asking, hey, Pat 25, do you have the CRJ in sight? Meaning they should be visually clearing their flight path. So I think what we're going to find here is that the helicopter did not see the CRJ, as crazy as that sounds. Air traffic controllers obviously thought that they were within visual contact of each other. So this is going to come back as a serious miscommunication and visual flight rules, IFR flight rules investigation. I think that's it's going to come out, is that obviously the helicopter pilots, from what I can just speculating here again, is they are flying under visual flight rules. So I don't think they should be in that area at all. I don't think for some reason, the air traffic controllers didn't realize how close they were to the airfield and right in the way of the landing aircraft. So that's really strange to me. It seems like they should have been not in that position. So helicopter is probably going to be found to be in the wrong location, and without a doubt, they should have had visual clearance of the airliner. And the air traffic controller here says Pat 25 pass behind the CRJ, which means he assumes that they see each other. Okay, but it's only 30 seconds there. I think he should have been much more directive, noting, hey, they're on a collision course here. They obviously saw both aircraft. And so, yeah, I'm sure it's going to come out that the helicopter pilot probably shouldn't have been in that location. Obviously didn't see the CRJ. As crazy as that sounds, you see a big bright light, right, that we see in the video. So in the video, it looks like this really bright light, right, that we can see, obviously, but that is a landing light, right, directed right at the camera. The helicopter is coming from the side. So they're not going to see that light. Okay. All they're going to see is the right wingtip lights, right? And maybe in a flashing strobe and maybe the front of that landing light. And the interesting point here is if you're on a collision path with something, right? If you're on an intercept path to actually hit something, if you think about it in your car, right? If you're looking and you're merging onto a highway and imagine it's two highways coming together, if you're actually going to hit the other car, right, you'll see what we call no line of sight. So that means that car will be in the same position looking out your windscreen, right? We call in the canopy, will be in the same exact position all the way until you actually impact. Okay. If you see the other vehicle moving forward line of sight, right? So it's actually changing position on your windscreen, on your windshield, or moving backwards, right? So it goes back through the different windows. You know you're not on a collision path, right? So you're not going to actually impact that other aircraft. But if you're on a complete collision path, right, it's very dangerous because you will see no line of sight. So what does that mean in this well lit area, right? As you're looking back or looking into the distance and there's lights everywhere because you're in a giant city, and there is a single light, okay, that's not moving. Okay, it's not going to be moving on your canopy. Okay, it's just going to be staying in the same position. It just gets drowned out in the background. So they will not see that light. It's just, as they're going, they're going to be on that collision path. It's just going to come, the light's going to come directly at them until it's obviously too late. So I think it's what we're going to find here is miscommunication. The helicopter crew is probably confused about where they are, how far they are, if they could have had the wrong actual distance indicators typed into their system, or they have wrong visual references. Okay, it is at night. Maybe they think they're over one part of the Potomac and they're actually over another part. So they're probably going to be confused on where they actually are located. And the tower is not going to have a good idea actually of how close they are or how far. But as you see there, within about 30 seconds left, they did have an understanding that they were on some sort of collision path and said, hey, pass behind the CRJ. Most likely, the helicopter air crew, did not understand where the CRJ was because they're lost in this background of lights. And again, if you're on a direct collision path, if you just happen to be on that perfect collision path, that light is not going to move on your canopy. You're going to have zero line of sight. So the light will not be moving. Our human brain's not going to be able to discern a light that's not moving, a bunch of other lights in the background that are also not moving. They'd have to see that little light passing in front of other lights, etc., while it's not moving on their canopy. So I think what this will come back to is human factors is going to be tragic accident. Again, just my initial speculation. But at the end of the day, accidents are always tragic. They happen for a reason. Just want you to remember that air travel is extremely, extremely safe. Okay, 0.5 deaths per day in the US 2022. It goes down to 0.11 deaths per day over the last 20 years compared to well over 100 for motor vehicle accidents. So you should be much scareder getting into your car than you are getting into an airliner. Just want to say that. I mean, the fact that the president's talking about this, 63 deaths, even if assuming everyone unfortunately passes on that, which hopefully they can save some of these people, but 63 deaths in the same time frame, more than double of that have died in motor vehicle accidents. Think about that. And the president doesn't say anything about that. But I think we will see autonomous vehicles coming online. So keep that in mind. NTSB is an amazing organization. They have been able to drop airline fatalities to just a ridiculous number. It's so safe. So just keep that in mind as you watch this. It's obviously a tragic incident, and we all have our hopes and prayers for the people on that plane and their families out there. So please hit the like button if you did like this video, and consider subscribing to get future updates on topics such as this. And there's just been amazing news in the UAP world. I mean, breakthroughs, world shattering information has been released, but it's not in the news. And now this will just cover everything. So, I think it is interesting, but this is a, pretty much a blip on the radar compared to what's going on in the UAP world that you're not hearing about in the mainstream news, which is just unbelievable to me. So go to patreon.com/chrislehto for exclusive videos. I'm publishing an exclusive video today. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.